the last 3 months, because of COVID-19, schools have been shut. I hope that these materials that we present today will be beneficial to students in their final year of secondary or high school.
Hello, welcome to this platform. Today we are going to look at government, and our topic in government today is the military in government, or military intervention in politics, or military in governance. All are of the same topic. On this topic today, our learning objectives include 1. Meaning of military in government. 2. Features of military government. 3. Reasons for military intervention in government or in politics. Now, introduction or meaning. Military are members of the armed forces, that is the Army, Navy, and the Air Force, that controls the instrument of violence. The primary responsibility of the military is to protect the territorial integrity of a state or nation. Military government comes into power through military coup, that is illegal takeover of political control by the armed forces. Now, the features of military government. 1. Hierarchical and centralized order. The military are working with hierarchy from the lowest rank to the highest rank, and the powers of the military are centralized in the central authority, known as the armed forces ruling country or supreme forces. 2. Opposition. The military does not tolerate opposition and does not allow or give room for opposition. 3. Dictatorship. The military government is not democratic, is dictatorial in nature. They don't come to power through the process of election, and they don't accept legitimacy from the people. Rather, they use the use of force. 4. Discipline and obedience. The military personnel are disciplined and obedient to their decrees and edicts. Separation of power from the civilian society. The military are separate from the civilian society because they live in the separate barracks. 6 values. Military values is different from that of civilians. They have value of discipline, obedience, intolerance, and hierarchy. 7. Instrument of violence. The military control the instrument of violence so that armed machines, absence of rule of law. As we such, the military does not come into power through the process of democracy and have no respect for rule of law. And then lastly, decree. The military, when they come to power, the first thing they do, they suspend the constitution and they issue orders in form of decree. Decree is a law made by federal military, and edicts are laws made by the state military. So the military, they use their own constitution, otherwise known as decree and edict. These are features of military government. Now, reason for military intervention. The reason why military intervene in governments. 1. Lack of legitimate base. If the civilian regime or the democratic regime fail to gain acceptance by the people or to be legitimate, the military give reason and take over power through the process of coup by overthrowing the elected civilian regime. And so lack of legitimate base is one of the reasons for military intervention. 2. Low level of economic development. If the civilian regime or the elected democratic regime it failed to improve the standard of living of the people, the suffering and yearning of the people warrant the reason for military intervention in the politics. And then 3. Tribal loyalties. Most of the politicians are more loyal to their tribes and religion rather than tribe loyalty to the nation. As such, military take over power to eradicate imbalances in the national structure. And then 4. Nationalism. If people don't have the sense of nationalism, the military also take over power and then claim to be nationalists in order to correct the ills of elected democracy. And then 5. Regional differences. Regional imbalances to a greater extent also lead to give reasons for military intervention in politics, like in the case of Nigeria of the first military coup of 15th January 1966. Also look at this as a reason for military intervention. And then fourthly, corruption. The 7th, corruption. Whenever military come into power, they give reason because of the corrupt-mindedness of the elected civilian government. And then finally, nepotism, mismanagement, lawlessness, and rivalry among politicians. They also set reasons for military intervention in politics. Now, an evaluation guide for you. 1, to define what is military government. 2, state and explain reasons for military intervention in politics. Thank you for watching. Keep watching our program. Stay safe. See you in the next episode of our lesson.